everyone, welcome to Premier Chess Academy channel. This is your coach Ayush, and I will be analyzing the match of the round 8 of the World Chess Championship. This round was a really very fabulous round because this round will be hopefully giving us the leader of the tournament, and that thing we will be finding out after the end of the match. Right now, the tournament has been in a tie situation with 3.5 points with both players. And stay tuned for such more analysis and please subscribe to Premier Chess Academy channel. So let's dive in. So Ding Liren, who is playing with the white pieces in this tournament, started out with the English opening and plays the move pawn to c4. Gukesh replies with pawn to e5, which is a little asymmetrical way of facing the English opening, to which Ding responds with a standard move knight c3. Gukesh now plays an attacking version of the English opening and brings out his bishop early on the b4 square. Ding Liren, looking the danger onto his knight, makes a move and places his knight in the center, attacking Gukesh bishop on the b4 square. To which Gukesh responds with the move bishop to e7, bringing the bishop back to safety. Now Ding develops his another knight and moves the knight to f3 square, putting pressure in the central e5 pawn, to which Gukesh simply defends it by moving his pawn forward to the d6 square. Ding plays pawn to g3, going for the fianchetto structure with the bishop, and this is the very common structure you will find in many English openings. To which Gukesh challenges Ding's knight by playing pawn c6, and right now he's threatening to take the knight in the next move. To defend his knight, Ding simply trades his knight with Gukesh bishop and captures the bishop on e7. Gukesh simply recaptures the knight back with his knight. Ding develops out his bishop, and now the next move which Gukesh played really shocked Ding, because after pawn to f6, this is a novelty which which Gukesh has now played, and Ding basically took a lot of time to consider what to play here next, because as I said earlier, this is a novelty and not many players have played this move earlier in their career. So let's see what Ding comes up with. Ding simply goes with a defensive way and castles in the match, following the opening principle, to which Gukesh now plays out bishop to e6, putting pressure onto the c4 pawn. Ding simply defends it by playing pawn to b3, also creating a room for the bishop to come out in the future, to which Gukesh responds with pawn to d5, forming a very nice pawn chain and having a very dominant control in the central part of the board. You can clearly see how dominant the Gukesh pawns, central pawns are in the center, and this is the reason Gukesh opening looks like is really working out in his favor. To which Ding simply develops his bishop to the a3 square and make it active on this particular diagonal. Gukesh simply castles in the match. Gukesh could have taken this free pawn because he was having more attackers. Take here, and then take here back. But the reason Gukesh hesitated, maybe because of moves like rook to b1, attacking the pawn on b7, and the rook becoming really very active early in the game when Gukesh tries to defend it later. Maybe the queen can come to the a4 square or maybe to the c2 square, putting pressure on the bishop, pinning this pawn, and this active development of Ding's pieces will be really very nicely compensated for the pawn which he has sacrificed. And looking forward to this position, I guess Gukesh decided not to go for this and not to fall for that free pawn, and instead Gukesh simply plays a very natural move and castles out in the match. To which Ding responds with rook to c1, defending the pawn on the c4 square and making sure that Gukesh doesn't win it for free. Gukesh now simply advances his pawn to a5 with the future idea of pushing the pawn to a4 to basically attack this pawn chain, to which Ding responds with a backward move, that is knight to e1, opening up the way for the bishop and putting more pressure against the pawn, to which Gukesh responds with rook e8, maybe simply getting away from the pin of the bishop and also defending the knight even more. Now, Ding strikes in the center because Ding definitely realizes that he's not having enough control over the central squares. So he needs to do something to counterattack, and he strikes in with the move pawn to f4. Here, Gukesh, after having a very long thought, basically decides to trade the pawns. Ding takes it back with the rook. Again, Gukesh takes a pawn. Ding takes it back, and now knight to g6 is a move which challenges the rook and asks to Ding, like, where will you move your rook? Will you move your rook downward or will you move the rook sideways? Ding basically chooses the tougher option and went with the move rook to e4, making the rook active on this e file and hoping that he will get some early trade with this rook and simplify the game a little bit more. To which Gukesh simply develops his knight from the e6 square with further plans of having the knight on b4 so that he can block Ding's bishop, which is right now very active on the a3 square. To which Ding responds with knight to c3, knight to c2. Gukesh simply develops out his queen, making a room for his rook to come out. Now Ding centralizes his knight to the d4 square, challenging the bishop. Bishop goes one step back. Ding solidifies his positioning of his pawn by playing pawn to d3, forming a good pawn chain in the center part of the board. Now Gukesh centralizes his knight, and now Ding chooses a path which is little much more less risky because now Ding is offering the trade of pieces. Ding was having quite very less time with only 20 minutes and like more 20 moves remaining in the board to play with. So Ding chose the most safest option, that is trading the pieces as soon as possible and simplify the position a bit more. But Gukesh avoids that exchange and moves his knight back. Uh, Ding simply exchanges the rooks as he was looking forward to exchange of pieces. Rook takes rook, and now Ding plays a little bad move in the match, that is rook to b1. He completely missed out Gukesh's next move, which Gukesh instantly played it with an advantage in the match right now, that is pawn to b5. Why this move is really very good? Because if you are thinking, guys, that you can simply win the pawn by taking here, black takes it, rook takes it back, and white is winning a pawn, you are completely wrong. Because there is a concept called as intermezzo, also called as intermediate move, which black can come up with, which Gukesh came up in the match, came up with, that is queen to b6 check, giving a check to the king and also making sure that while he take the pawn on b5, his pawn will get defended by his queen. And also, oh, I basically missed to mention that if you notice, Deng moved his king towards the left side. So the reason is he wanted to make sure he defends that pawn with the king. And also, as the game will be approaching towards the end game, so king nearby the center will be much more better compared to the king which is in the corner square. Deng plays a move bishop to b2. Gukesh simply accepts the free pawn which he gets in the match, and now basically Gukesh is clearly better in the match with an advantage of plus 1.5. And now here, Gukesh, queen was getting attacked. Gukesh took a time a little bit here. He was thinking, okay, what should he do here? And then after a very long thought, Gukesh plays out the move knight a to c5, which is actually a little bad move and which gives away the advantage. Here, basically, according to the engine, the correct move was moving the d knight to the c5 square. Because if you are moving this knight, later this knight on c5 will not be present, which you have moved, will not be on d7. That removes the possibility of white bringing the bishop here and attacking that knight. And this knight on a6 will be contributing further in the advancement of the pawns. So this is the critical move which Gukesh missed out in his game and instead played the move knight a c5. This was the critical situation in the match, which now shifted the direction of the game in Ding's favor. Ding started to do PPP in the match, that is putting pressure on the pinned piece. So this is the thing which Ding is now relying on. Gukesh played bishop b3, hoping that the queen will be going on the d2 square, overlooking the idea of Ding, which Ding executed in the match, that is queen e1, with the further idea of shifting the queen to f2 and increasing the pressure even more on the c5 square. Gukesh played bishop e6, and now Ding came up with the move queen f2, making sure that he is going to win some material in the upcoming moves for sure. Gukesh played rook c8, adding another defender for the knight. But now the game has been too passive for Gukesh, and Ding is on the upper hand. Ding plays bishop e3, planning to play d4 in the next move and further d5 so that he can execute a beautiful discover attack. Gukesh played rook c1, to which Ding responds with knight to d4, which gives away his advantage a little bit. Instead of moving the knight to d4, Ding should have gone with the move knight e1. That was much better for Ding. But Ding misses his opportunity and plays a move knight d4. The bishop goes back, and Ding then executes his idea, that is basically doing an interference between these two pieces so that he can decrease the number of defenders for this knight on c5. To which Gukesh sacrifices his rook, get two pieces in return. But in exchange, right now, Gukesh is an exchange round, but in return, he has two very solid passed pawns. After the game advances a little more, we can see Gukesh centralizes his knight. Also, he earlier made a safe square for the king so that it gets away from the backline checkmate. And now, at the same time, Ding is activating his pieces as well. Here Gukesh plays queen g2, and we now see a repetition of moves. Everyone was hoping that now the game is going to end in a draw with the repetition of moves. But Gukesh was not in a mood for that much of easy draw. Realizing that the position is quite a very double edge and he's not having a clear advantage which he was having before, but kudos to Gukesh guts and his fearless play that he basically declined the repetition of move and played queen a2 check. A very courageous move, attacking the king now. And Ding simply defends the check right now by placing the rook in between. Gukesh moves his queen back to the e6 square. Ding gives a check. King gets to the safe square. Ding captures the pawn, but now Gukesh tries to use his passed pawn and make some trouble for king here by playing pawn b3. Ding simply defends the rook by moving it back. Now Gukesh plays queen d5. He needs to be very precise, or else the game can get slip away from him. Ding plays queen to b4, stopping pawn to b2 idea, to which Gukesh now counterattacks from the other side by playing queen g2 and threatening the pawn on h2. And here, Ding again found a way to basically draw this game, and he simply offered a queen trade. And now this queen trade can't be declined because it is coming up with a check. After the queen got traded, and we have pawn to b2, and now we get into a position. It's a little tactical thing, that is intentionally Gukesh sacrifices his pawn on b2 because now Gukesh played knight to c4, and with this move he managed to get the rook. But now we are in a situation of a bishop, opposite color bishop here, and most of the time it leads to a draw because none white will not be able to attack black's pawn that efficiently, and black will not be able to attack white's pawn that efficiently, and due to this both players in this position agreed to a draw. So this was a very good game with a lot of up and down in this match. uh, and after this game got over, the tournament result is now 4-4 for both players. The both players are still tied down, and we don't have a leader. So do comment in the section. What do you think? What will happen in the next round? Will any player out of Ding or Gukesh will take a big chance in the game and make a lead, or do you think we will be getting into the tie breaks where we will be seeing the rapid matches between these two players? Do comment down below and tell me how did you like this analysis of the match. Bye everyone, take care and see you soon.